It is now my pleasure to introduce the founding director of the Empathy Center, Edwin Rutsch. Edwin is also the developer of a long-term evangelist of the Empathy Circle practice. Over to you, Edwin.
Thanks, Kara, and thanks again to our volunteers and for everyone taking part and joining us in this summit. Really excited to be promoting and working on building this empathy movement, and the Empathy Circle we see is a core practice of the empathy movement. And I have a slideshow which I'm going to show here. And it's going to be very quick. I just have less than 10 minutes for my part of the presentation. Sort of doing a filler here to get on the 15-minute mark here for each of our participants. So the title of my talk is Empathy Circles, a Practical Method for Exiting the Drama Triangle. And because of all the confusion and recent criticisms of empathy, I've been really focusing on empathy definition projects. So I'm creating a project to define empathy in an easier to understand way. And I've done a presentation on holistic empathy, and that was in one of the previous presentations that I did, kind of explaining the model. And then I've also done a presentation on comparing that model to the current, very kind of the popular, and I would say inaccurate cognitive affective concern empathy model that's kind of been created by academics. I find that it has a lot of real problems and that we need an easier to understand model for that. So I've also done a presentation about that. And I'm now working on how does this holistic empathy model address the criticisms. If you've been just watching the media and the various online papers, there's been multiple books out that are critical of empathy, and I'm wanting to address those criticisms with this holistic empathy model. And in short, the model has 4 components. There's basic empathy, deeply listening and sensing into another's experience. Self-empathy, deeply listening and sensing into your own experience. And imaginative empathy, where we kind of imagine ourselves in different roles and we sense with our imagination, which is, I think, different from basic empathy. And holistic empathy, how are we in a community and the empathy level within that community. And what I'm wanting to compare or kind of talk about is the drama triangle compared to the empathy circle. So I don't know, you may have heard of the drama triangle, and this is a sort of a model that I have in the back of my head. So when I kind of see different relationships, you can sometimes see how these relationships fit into the drama triangle. And it's really a good model for how conflict works. And what I'm finding is that a lot of the criticisms of empathy are actually that fit into the drama triangle. They're saying that empathy leads you into the drama triangle. And I think that's completely inaccurate, that it's actually empathy and holistic empathy and the empathy circles that actually take you out of that drama triangle and bring you into, connection, positive, constructive connection. So I'm going to just kind of quickly kind of whiz through this. So in the drama triangle, this was created by Steve Karpman, I believe is his name, in the 60s already. And it has, there's 3 roles in this model. There's the persecutor. And I also mentioned that so many of the criticisms of empathy kind of fit into this drama triangle model, and by kind of showing how those criticisms fit into this model and then how empathy is the exit, I think we can really address a lot of the criticisms of empathy. And so The model says that there's a persecutor who is, judging, blaming, controlling, dominating, a victim. And there's a victim, the person who, the persecutor is, kind of criticizing, and the victim feels powerless, stuck, mistreated and oppressed. And then there's the rescuer who tries to fix, tries to save the victim. So a quick little scenario is that, father comes home, the son, he sees a bunch of dishes in the sun, and a lot of dishes in the sink, I mean, and the son was responsible for, keeping the dishes clean. And he says to his son, why are all these dishes here? You're just lazy. Starts criticizing the son. So he's like the persecutor, and the son is the victim in this case. And then the son, just feels, kind of put down, criticized. And then the mother in this case, tries to fix it and says, oh, he's been busy, he hasn't had time to really, kind of clean the dishes, I'll help, I'll clean up the dishes. And then the father, and then the son says, to his father, oh, you're always so critical of me. You're, you just have this nasty attitude, and you're always putting me down. So in that case, the son, who was the victim, is sort of lashing out back at his father, the persecutor, and then the roles in the drama triangle change. So in this case, the son becomes the persecutor, and the father becomes the victim because he's being criticized by his son. And this drama triangle, you can take a lot of different scenarios and put it into this sort of dynamic that happens. And actually, the empathy and the empathy circle is actually the exit from this, in the sense that if the father comes and is critical of the son can be empathic towards the father, right? He can say, oh, I hear you're just really upset that I didn't do the dishes. And he can just listen to the father, and the father would maybe express some more of their frustration. And then, like, oh, I had a really hard day. And then so the son reflects, I hear you have a really hard day, and that it's been really difficult for you. And then it's the son's turn to speak, right? Or he would be speaking, and then well, he would be then kind of sharing. He says, well, when you criticize me like that to the father, that, I feel really put down. And then the father would reflect back, I hear you feel really put down. And this creates an actually takes, everybody has responsibility in this, in the empathy circle in this situation. And you kind of can work your way out. The wife or the mother would then be able to talk, and they would be able to talk about their issues. So I'm going to jump forward real quick here to a sample of the empathy, this model where we have Paul Bloom, who's against empathy, says empathy is biased. We are more prone to feel empathy for attractive people and for those who look like us or share our ethnic or national background. So he's saying, in terms of the drama triangle, the persecutor is, listening to someone else, and then the person who's not being heard is the victim. And then there's the whole dynamic that happens from that. And then another person from the sin of empathy says, empathy feeds the competitive victimhood mentality that is rampant in our society. In an empathetic society, victimhood confers vulnerability. So he's again saying that this is again, right, saying that the victim, why people want to be victims, because they get power out of it. And again, I'm saying that the empathy circle is actually the exit from that. So this was like a super fast presentation. I'm working on this, and going to be doing a longer presentation. We just wanted to give a quick taste of what I'm working on, and so that's it. Just to keep on time, I'm going to end it there.
Well, thank you, Edwin. I enjoyed that immensely. I love talking about that triangle. That makes me the weirdo, but I'm okay with that. Ha!